Welcome to Forbidden Knowledge. This is Tuesday night. First of all, welcome each and every one of you. I'm Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. Listen, last night on my channel, we started something that rattled a lot of people because it really wasn't speculation. It was something that we can call a little mysticism, or something, and there's also been some documentation behind it, and it was ignored and buried. We're talking about Nibiru. And before going further, wishing all you fathers happy Father's Day from this past weekend. Again, we're live tonight, Tuesday. We can do that. But we got a great conversation tonight that we're going to have. And one of the things I want to say was that, again, last night on my channel, we did part one of a 4-part series that you're going to hear about. And I'll talk about that throughout tonight's show because, again, I have my own personal channel, and we will be going live right after this show to go into part 2, all about Nibiru, and then we'll go into part 3 Wednesday, and then part 3 Thursday, and then we have our uncensored after show on Thursday as well. But anyway, let's just jump down into what we're talking about right now, because once again, we walked through the clues last night. We also talked about what Nibiru really is. And it's not a comment. It's not a comment that people sometimes say out there. And also, it's not an asteroid. And some of you should know that by now, but it's a planetary body with a mass and movement. There's a lot of stuff on social media right now that you will see going on with Nibiru, like videos.
Is that the planet? Where the sun at?
You will see a lot of videos like that is going on right now. And welcome all of you in the chat tonight. Who is that? The Salad Knight, Robert, and I'll go through some names a little later. But anyway, yeah, y'all are here. We live. But anyway, you see a lot of those video clips that I just showed you that are surfacing right about now on social media, and it has been for the last few years, but it has really been popping over the last few weeks of people claiming to see Nibiru at different times. And actually some clips out there are saying, hey, listen, they show the moon, the sun, and Nibiru at the same time. But let me get into it. In 1982 and 1983, the emission was a cover-up. So let me kind of go there. In 1990 or 82, NASA scientists publicly acknowledged an anomaly, okay? And it was something large, something unknown, and it was pulling on Uranus and Neptune. So again, it was pulling on these other planets. And if you remember a lot of stuff that we talk about in the past with Nibiru, and we talked about it last night on part 1 on my personal channel, which you can go back and check that video out. And because we're going to do part 2 right after this show on my personal channel. So last night we went into, is Nibiru coming or here? And so you might want to go check that out on, once again, my personal channel, Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority, and check it out. And because tonight, right after this, we're going to be going into part 2, the return window. So all of this is part of a 4-part series that I'm doing all this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And so, yeah, Tuesday I'm here, but the double up will be right after this. So definitely when we leave here in a few minutes, hop on over to my personal channel and go with part 2 that we're going to be talking about from part 1. But listen, what they said was that, again, the satellite caught it. This was in 1983. So I want you to go look that up. It was called a RAS or IRAS satellite. Now, it had a direct infrared detection of a celestial object not listed on any charts. So if you want to say, well, Roderick, maybe this Nibiru stuff is some kind of rumor or whatever, once again, go check it out for yourself, because all of a sudden it went silent right after that. There was no follow-up press conference, no public alerts, just reaction. And then there was like this misidentification process, or it started right there. They started like, we got to cover this up. And you were supposed to believe it was a glitch. That's what they kind of put it out there. And I know in 1983, maybe some of you wasn't even here yet. Of course, at that point, I was a teenager at that time, and I had no clue about Nibiru or anything that I'm talking about here now today. However, if you want to think about it, because last night we broke this down in a little more details on my show, part 1. And we talked about why the discovery of Nibiru was quickly quarantined. I mean, when that stuff came out, they hit it, man. They hit it really quick. Now, of course, there's a lot of rumors behind it. We will get into that. And I got into, is it Nibiru, Anunnaki, or they are folks, black folks? I'm just using, for example, I know we have a diverse audience, but there's a lot of stuff out there. Oh, maybe it's the black planet, Planet X. There's a lot of things out there. And of course, you know, my theory, if you watched a lot of my videos on my personal channel, I talk about those lizard people and the scaly skins of the Anunnaki and all of that stuff. And so we have to then kind of go looking down those things. But once again, why did scientists start using terms like hypothetical or mathematical artifacts? They really start shifting their tonality when this discovery was made. And then once again, why everything that was mentioned up there became a career killer. I mean, anybody who really stepped out on the Nibiru, it was bad. In fact, this particular guy here, Dr. Roberts, man, they took him out. They took him out completely. And that is going to be on Thursday Uncensored show right after Thursday live at 8 o'clock on my channel, because we can't talk about all the stuff they did with him and to him live on the airwaves. But we're going to my private Patreon area, and man, we're going to talk about it. So there's a link in the description, and then here's the link there if you want to join Thursday Night Uncensored. We do that every Thursday through those. But regardless to that, listen, this wasn't a myth. It was confirmed observation, and then they scrubbed it before it could become an accepted truth. And make no mistake about it, there are people and things are saying it's on its way back. And some people are contemplating saying, hey, it is already here. We're just not in so much of a conscious state, a lot of us, or we haven't had our ascension type situation to see it and all of those things. But hey, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and we know that. But a lot of questions that I have, though, that, again, we're going to answer it throughout our whole 4-part series, because this is deep. You can't just do Nibiru in 1 hour. I mean, I'm dedicating 5 or 6 hours to this. Like I say, hour yesterday, right after this show tonight, we're going to hop from Forbidden Knowledge over to my channel. We're going to go in part 2. We'll do about an hour or so there. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm just going to keep harping on it, because we're going to go deep into this Nibiru all week, and then we're going to go silent. And then we're going to talk some sugar honey iced tea that we can't say out there. But why does the space agency admit something and then act like it never happened? Just like everything else. Sometimes they'll pump it out there. They'll pump the information. Oh, we found this. And then all of a sudden, they get quiet about it, because not just because they want to be quiet about it. There are some people up above. There's a cabal. There's a lot of situations that are controlling things unbeknownst to us on a daily basis, that, hey, the truth is hard. But now there's a rumor, and I mentioned this a little bit last night in the part 1, that, you know, Nibiru may be coming back to kick butt and take names, because obviously Earth at some point was supposed to have been this project planet off limits, and the people and things that stayed here, hid here, or whatever, was not supposed to be doing what they're doing to the human species that they're doing today. And supposedly Nibiru is going to make all that change. Now, we know that there's been a lot of cataclysms and changes and shift and the pole shift. And anyway, we'll get into all of that. But the thing about it is, who gave the order to seal the data? We're going to go through all of that, because in part 3 on Thursday, I named some names. I give them some information. I'm going to give some stuff that you probably haven't heard that is out there. And again, I'm just going to give you enough information that you can see, you can read, you can hear, to awaken your possibilities and curiosity to the whole Nibiru thing, right? And you can make the decision for yourself. I'm not sitting here saying it is here. I'm not even saying it's going to be here in the next 30 years, if that's the case, because it is a 3600 window that it comes. And I would assume that, you know, 3600 years ago, a lot of stuff has happened. We got missing civilizations. We got things that are here that we don't even know who built them and where they came from and where did they go, because they just disappeared. Some said they may have hopped off the planet, but that does explain why we have all this interplanetary work trying to get off the planet. Y'all know that, right? There's a lot of stuff that they're talking about that. Anyway, because Nibiru didn't vanish, only our access to the path did. So in other words, if they spotted it like they said they did, it didn't just disappear, because it's a big big ASS space out there. I mean, really, really big. And we don't have the budget to scan the whole freaking universe. It is just too big. But obviously, we knew where that was. And of course, we had to have sent those new James Webb and all those satellites that way. So you can take in account that they just said, you know what, we know it's coming, turn it over this way a little bit. And remember, there has been stories of brigades and all this stuff being seen heading our way and all this stuff, you know, alleged rumors. And I mean, the stuff is deep, but you hear like, shh, shh, shh. And if you know my background, and if you did know my background, I'm a certified UFO investigator. I've been doing this for years. I've been in 11 different TV shows about UFOs. I was featured on Ancient Aliens last year, being a African-American UFO or ufologist or whatever you want to call that. That is what we call it. And I've been on, you know, Course Forbidden Knowledge, the Black Light Satellite. You can find me on HBO. You can find me on Amazon Prime. You can find, in fact, one of the shows I'm in, Bigfoot, or one of them is on Amazon or HBO right now. And then I hosted a show on the Discovery Plus channel. So a lot of people don't know that is my lineage. My DNA is this UFO alien stuff. So when I talk about it, I'm not just making some of this stuff up, although I'm not verifying that everything that we hear out here is the absolute truth. However, the word on the street, that's our new word for conspiracy. So when you hear me say the word on the street, and then we know when they say the word on the street, it's damn near as true as it can get. We know that, right? So listen. Again, I'm going to say this because I'm trying to nail this home for you. If you missed part one, go back and see why this all matters, because once you understand what they saw in the sky, you'll understand why it went dark. And tonight, we're going to turn that signal back on. So we're going to be doing that, like I said, and part one is on my personal channel. And you can, again, I'll just put it up here. This is what it looks like. If you were searching, go check it out. Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. Make sure you subscribe too. Because like I said, when we get off of here in about 15, 30 minutes, we're going live over there at 9 p.m. or before, and we're going to go into part two and then lead to part three, part four, and then the uncensored. That's almost 5. We're going Nibiru. This is Nibiru week. Why not? It's Nibiru week. We got to go there if they're going to do that. However, listen, the data didn't lie, but people holding on to it did. And this is how they're able to keep us in the dark. And you know, I always tell y'all, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. You have to keep your mind open to understand some of these things, because don't trust the eyes. We know this, right? We know eyes can be deceiving. We know that, but keep the mind. You get the mind clear, then the eyes will fall in alignment. But if you go from eyes to mind, they can get you. They can definitely do this. But listen, let's walk this out. If something was approaching and something real, something massive, disrupted, what would you expect to happen? What would you expect to happen? Yeah, you probably say, well, Roderick, we would probably expect a bunch of announcement. Okay, that's a good question. I'm glad you said that. You probably say we expect satellite imagery. They're just going to show it. Okay, you can expect that too. Maybe they're honest Abe out there and they're going to do this. And you can expect a warning. Woo, woo, you know, it's coming, is whatever. You can expect that too. And instead, we got blackouts. We get zero, zit, nothing. Because don't get me wrong, we're not saying it's the end of the world and you know it. That's not the song. We're not singing a song, the end of the world and you know it. Y'all heard it right? All right. So, and yeah, I don't do singing for a living. But what I'm saying is we're not saying that. All we're saying is we want the truth, right? We want the truth. And I think that's the whole point, that we all can say that that's what the whole point. But to them, it's like they're like,
you can't handle the truth.
I think that's how they feel about us, right? They feel we can't handle the truth. And so therefore they're going to tell us this fabricated stuff. But when you subscribe to shows like myself or Forbidden Knowledge, and there's lots of other content creators out there who spill the beans. There's many of us out there, truth seekers and truth speakers is what I'd say today. Then you understand that, again, the word on the street becomes a little absolute when they begin to do their things. And that's something I want you to kind of pay attention to when it gets down to this. But listen, there are other signals and other things that we go. So I'm going to give you a couple of facts, okay? And I did go deep into those last night on part one on my channel. And you're going to hear me refer to this in tomorrow and tonight after this show, because man, this is an important week. In fact, it's really important. I got a friend of mine, and you probably seen her, but she talks about Nibiru right here. I'll just give you a quick clip.
Y'all miss me? Because I'm back. I definitely been seeing all them videos y'all been tagging me in of that red sun. But most importantly, I've been feeling it too. Have y'all? I know that red sun ain't just no sunset, right? That's a soul signal. If you tapped in even a little bit, you know, you feeling it too. It's Nibiru's energy creeping through that veil, baby.
So again, and she's going to be a guest on one of the shows coming up, and we talk about this stuff, right? And of course, she's a friend of mine, but she goes deep. If you've seen her on Instagram, but she's getting a lot of people calling, texting, or I would say information about Nibiru as well. But listen, let's give you a couple of facts, so that you can kind of do your research a little bit. After the IRAS spotted an anomaly in 1983. Dozens, not one, not two, not three. We said dozens is 12. If you eat donuts like I used to, I don't do it anymore. Anyway, that's some humor. But orbital ignorant, and they just had a lot of orbital things that just wasn't right. They saw this. They was like, no, this ain't right. This is not right. And they was confirmed by a lot of astronomers. In fact, they was confirmed, one in particular that we're going to talk about. Is this particular gentleman here, Dr. Robert. And like I said, man, they took him out. And I'm going to tell you how and what they did and all of that. And I can't speak it live on the air because they'll be like, the show. I'm already getting a lot of hits anyway from these folks about some of the stuff I tell y'all. But I can go uncensored in the Patreon because nobody monitors to that. We'll do that Thursday. And again, if you're welcome to, there's a link in the description. Join us every Thursday night. We go uncensored anyway. And so we talk about stuff that you're not going to hear, and we use language. So don't let the kids look, because it's open language there, so put the kids to bed when we do this. Another thing was the orbits of Uranus and Neptune was being suddenly, real distorted when they did this, not by a known planet, not by the sun, but something unseen. So obviously the size of Nibiru was so big that, and Uranus is huge. Y'all know that, right? And we're not talking about Uranus, you're behind. We're talking about Uranus, the planet. And Nibiru was distorting this thing. Now, keep in mind, there's a movie, and somebody mentioned it to me last night. I forgot the name of the movie, where, remember, they were sending a signal out to Earth. It's called a 3 something, I don't know. But and they was coming to Earth, and the people back there say, hey, don't send a signal. If my comrades here, they're going to come and crush your planet, blah, blah, blah. But remember, even though they knew they can come and see him, but it's hundreds of years away, even though they can see a speck, right? But traveling, it could be 300-400 years. So the same thing could be here. And again, this is every 3,600 years that this sugar honey iced tea is happening. So there's something that they're talking about. But once again, another fact was that scientists published papers, then they quickly retracted them, and then others went quiet, and some let their posts. They just left, man. They stopped becoming scientists. They got out of there real quick. And the question is why? Because I always tell you, don't worry about how they're doing things. There's nothing more important, and listen to me closely if it's not anything else you hear tonight. There's nothing more important than the why. I don't care what you hear, what they say, how they did it. Why is the answer to it all. And I don't care what, you can use that principle in life. You can go out and see somebody took something and put 16 holes in somebody, and they already know how they did it. They know what weapon did it, but they always go try to figure out why. Why did this person do it? Why? Because why leads you down the rabbit hole of truth. Always, not the how. But see what they do now in media, they keep us focusing on how things are going. This is how they did it. This is how, and they know they do that on purpose because nobody asks why. But you're going to do that here because that's what we do. That's how we do it. This is why I'm wearing the luminous brand, you know, and because the luminous see to the truth. We're initiated. And of course, I have my luminous emblems that a couple of you bought last week from the show. And so I just want to thank y'all. And if you're wearing it, let me turn it around so you can see it. But if you're wearing it, make sure you send some pictures to the email so we can post it on our website and everything else. Let me just put the medallion this way. That way you can see the little owl there. But anyway, I'll give you information on if you want to get one for yourself and in the meaning, in the deeper meaning that it does. So listen, as we continue tonight, and for those of you just join us, if you was a father and you are a father and you had Father's Day, or your father or whoever, just whatever, I just want to say all of you to you fellas and everyone who's done a good job, whether it's your children or someone else's kids, stepkids, or just whatever, or maybe your father figure in someone else's life. Good job for you. And if you didn't hear it this weekend from anyone or anyone that actually cares or whatever, I want to know that I care, and I just want you to know, keep doing a good job, and let's continue as well. All right, so listen. So where did this data is now? That's the key. Where is it now? Why we can't see it? And so let me kind of break this down for you. The data from space telescopes was rerouted through military filters. Now, when you hear me say military, that lets you know already the thing is on now, right? The gig is on. When the military steps in, because what they try to do is anything that they want to deem as national security, they can slap a label on it and then it goes dark from the public. And I don't care if it's a roach. I don't care if it's a roach that can turn around and take down a cat, that it is national security. We ain't gonna hear about that roach no more. I know that's a bad metaphor, but I'm just trying to give you this, how simple they call things national security. Listen, civilian astronomers began to report strange reclassifications of distant objects, mysterious denials, or previously documented tracks. Now, let me give you a disclaimer. Y'all know I have a disclaimer. I have over here a virtual spelling box, which is unlimited spelling letters. If I misspell something or you see on the screen or whatever, you have the right to go in there and get that out. Over here, I have a virtual grammar box. If you hear me mispronounce a word, it's no need to correct or anything else, because I'm giving you the autonomy to go in there to this virtual grammar box and pull out unlimited grammar corrections for you, so it'll reach into your consciousness of thought and everything else. But I guarantee you, no matter how I butcher it, you're going to know what I was trying to say, because your mind works like that. It's the brilliant piece of machinery that you have, because you are so intelligent that you are. Listen, those still speaking call it Planet 9, a harmless sounding phrase meant to diffuse the public. Now, Zachariah Ascension said we had 12 planets. And remember, somebody spotted the planet after Pluto not too long ago, but they erased it out. Because why? All our history book says, the last one is Pluto, right? Or whatever. And we don't have 10, 11, 12 planets. We just have a few, but that's not true. And because they don't want to rewrite history, and it changes everything. Because remember, there was a lot of African tribes that was indigenous that had no technology, knew where Sirius star systems was. They knew all of this stuff from space travelers, and they had no way. They didn't have no telescopes. They didn't have all this. Someone came and told them, right? And so by the time they got to start admitting that these things that they found on these way out places, then they get in trouble for that. And it's something that they don't want to do. So let's keep it going from there. Listen, why does the science only vanish when the stakes are high? That's the why question. And maybe some of you can answer it. Put it in the chat. Let's make this a community conversation, because this Nibiru thing is important. It really is. And if there's nothing out there, why there's a global defense protocol tracking the sky anomalies behind closed doors? And if I'm not mistaken, most recently, the military is supposed to have been implementing that whole space program again. They used to have something called Star Wars, but it's something else, if I'm not mistaken, that I was reading, that they're now trying to put it back in place. We're trying to get off the planet. There are so many things that they're doing, and we need to ask why. They're building bunkers. I talked about that yesterday in part 1. I went really crazy about the bunkers. So if you want to go into that, go back on my channel, my personal channel. Like I said, I have one, and I'll just keep putting this on the screen for you. If you need to look for it, right there on YouTube, Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. We talked about it. We went live last night, because I go live Monday and all them other days on my personal channel when I'm not here. And we talked about those bunkers. Man, they're building bunkers everywhere. In fact, I'm building a bunker in 4 or 5 years. And so we're going to be taking candidates to see if you are worthy to go into the bunker. Now, I may have to reseed the planet. So we want to make sure that we are I'm just joking, though. I'm just joking, but I'm still joking. All right. But I want to make sure everybody's breedable, you women, so we can replenish the planet. Right. And all of that. So imagine, all right. So that was just humor, joking. I know y'all going to go in the chat, blah, blah, blah. Don't take it personal. Don't come at me. All right, blah, blah, do who's going to whatever. I'm just saying, all of you get your bunkers and explore the option of you being the new specimen on Earth if we have to go underground. You just never know. That's a good line, by the way. Look at someone and say, hey, baby, I want to start civilization with you all over. She just might say, yeah, you never know. It's better than we going to, what y'all say, Cheesecake Factory or something. And why not? Cheesecake Factory is a good place. All right, so listen, let's keep going because I know, this is not community night. We're just talking here. All right, so let's keep going. All right, where we're going to go with this is that you can ignore a theory. You can do that, but you can't ignore a pattern. And the pattern is here in silence. And they measure the distortion. They watch the stars shift because that's happening. But they did close the file and they locked the vault. In fact, like I said, I am a certified UFO investigator. Last year, there was a secret meeting in LA. I'm just going to tell you not the whole details because you can't hear everything. But it was about and I'm going to give you the hints because I'm not supposed to give you all the details, but I'm going to give you enough that you go find what I'm talking about. There was a observatory that took some photographs, and I'm not making this up for you on this one. And somehow the pictures that they took 30 or 40 years ago, they compared the two pictures that they took recently in the last year or two. And they noticed that there was a lot of stars missing. And that's when they realized that it could possibly be some black hole, whatever. They had a crazy meeting about that last year. I mean, they brought in everybody to talk about it. Now, when I talk to you about these things, I'm not saying stuff that's happening in our lifetime because the galaxy is huge. And when we see these anomalies, they could be hundreds of years away, but doesn't mean it's not happening. But they did go look into that. Go check it out. You can Google some search terms and just go into that. And the name of the organization and all that will start popping up. But read through the lines real closely on the articles because they try to close it out pretty much. And that was something that they did very, very quickly. But it happened. So I just want you to know because how I know this. All right. So as we get into where we are right now, the frequency of knowing why you're feeling this before the hits. And I'm going to play Yaya's information right now. I'm going to play her information. And she's going to tell you why you're feeling a couple of things. It's about a couple of minutes, but it's very interesting. She's a friend of mine. And definitely let me play her clip, what she talks about with Nibiru, and we'll get into that. Let's go right now.
Y'all miss me? Because I'm back. I definitely been seeing all them videos y'all been tagging me in of that red sun. But most importantly, I've been feeling it too. Have y'all? I know that red sun ain't just no sunset, right? That's a soul signal. If you tapped in even a little bit, you know. You feeling it too. It's Nibiru's energy creeping through that veil, baby. Pretty sure if we was to look it up, it would say some shit like it's from the fire smoke or the atmospheric particles. Nah. This is cosmic movement. This is the crossing because planet Nibiru is known as the planets of the crossing. But what do you know? The cross, once again, they call it that because it don't just cross through the sky, it crosses through dimensions. It shakes illusions, it scrambles old programs and some people's brains. I'm telling y'all, just pay attention to who crashing out right now. Activates the part of your DNA or RNA that modern science might not even acknowledge. So you've been tired lately? Your dreams been feeling too real? You having random pressure in your heart or your head? I'm talking about out of nowhere. That's because that's light code work being done. What that means is your melanin or neuromelanin for people who look like me. Yes, there is a difference. Your bloodline and crystalline structure are all receiving. This is another reason why you have a lot of people transitioning off of this realm right now. Because they're not matching the frequency of where the earth is rising to. And it's just going to continue. That red sun is not just shining, it's remembering. And it's seeing all. This is not just about astrology or astronomy. This is literally ancestral prophecy. I do recall the Dogons, the Sumerians, and even the ancient Kemetic texts talking about this millennia ago. Celestial bodies that return to wake up the encoded one, or what most like to call the chosen one. A lot of us starting to tune in and tap into a lot of shit they did not want us to remember. I'm just gonna keep reminding y'all, remember who you are. Let me know y'all thoughts in them comments. Shout out to everybody that attended my event this past weekend. Now, I know Friday we had a little technical difficulties with the music and things. The conversations alone at the end was amazing. Quickly got our shit together for Saturday though, because it was a vibe. Shout out to all of y'all who said y'all meeting me in Houston June 21st and 22nd for that Quantum Fest. I know we gonna have a time out there too. Be on the lookout because I will be having a puff and paint in July. I know I ain't been doing no videos in a minute, so I'm definitely about to catch up. Stay tuned. As always, peace, love, and light, and gratitude for watching.
Now that's my girl Yaya World, and she goes really deep into this. And I've been watching the chats. Who is this? Olinda says I got M's in my hand. I don't know what it means, but you can tell me right in the chat. I'll read it pretty much. But anyway, I'm sure it's a good thing. I know it's a good thing. It has to be. All right. So let me continue on what we're going, because like I said before, we've been talking about Nibiru all week. So let me let you know where we're going with this. Yesterday on my personal channel, we went to part 1 and we talked about the bunkers, or they coming, and all of this stuff. Tonight, right after this show here on Forbidden Knowledge, right after here in about 15 minutes, we're going to go to my personal channel. We're going to do part 2. It's a 4-part series. Then Wednesday, we're going to go really deep in part 3, the Earth Still Shaking. This is going to be on my channel as well. And then Thursday at 8 o'clock, we will then go to part 4, the psychic window. You don't want to miss that one. You don't want to miss that one. And then right after the Thursday show, I always do what we call our uncensored and our private Patreon area, the all access, if you decide that you want to do that. This is where we talk about things that we cannot talk about on YouTube, because they always shutting stuff down and constantly and pretty much. And so, and what they have policy, they do have policy. And so those things have to be respected when it comes down. But we're going to talk about the guy who told us about Nibiru. He put it out there and they took him out. They took him out, to dinner, seriously. And he ate and then come back to eat. All right. So again, you can find my channel before we go over there in a few minutes. Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. And then here's access to the Patreon later on Thursday if you go. But you might want to follow on, like I said, the 4 series of the shows that we're going to be doing. So let me continue so we can go. Yeah. Maurice says, volcanoes and all, it's possible, because they talk about Maurice, they talk about those pole shifts, and we're going to go into that a little bit tonight on the second half on my channel, but all during the week. And then Thursday, when we go private, I'm going to tell you about things you can do to protect yourself if you're here and it happens, right? Things that they don't need to know the plan, but we'll talk about that Thursday in our private area, so that preparation, and maybe you put it in an envelope, pass it down to generation, let them be ready though, right? Regardless, when it comes down to it. So let's get back into what we're talking about right now. And we're going to continue. Like I said, we're live, and then welcome each and every one of you new here. Make sure you subscribe here to Forbidden Knowledge as well. And then come over to my channel, Roderick Martin, because we're all week. I'm only here on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. But there's a lot of knowledge here. Of course, you know, Billy. And then, of course, you can come over to pretty much from there. And that's something we can do. All right, so let's continue. See, this next part isn't telescopes. This is going to come from your gut. And this is what she was talking about. It's from your dreams. It's from those flashes that you've been trying to ignore. Because even if your consciousness mind doesn't know Nibiru's name, your nervous system does. There's a lot of people been feeling. I had a friend of mine just yesterday. He is an active person. He was like, man, I just been feeling weird. And I didn't want to tell him because he's not into this conversation. And ain't no need to for me to go when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So that's not my job, is to try to convince him. But when he said it, I was like, really? You don't say? What? And so I was just following along with the whole conversation. But I could have told him, man, there's some things happening out there. That's why. But like I said, you're seeing it in your dreams. You're feeling it in mood swings. You're hearing it in that low frequency hum when everything around you is still, but something in you is rattling. And because it's happening, it's really happening. And once again, we're talking about psychic frequency report. We're going to go into all of the psychic stuff about that. I'm going to see if I can have a psychic on. I got a friend that is, but we're going to be talking about the psychic window on Thursday, at 8 o'clock. So at 4 p.m. And I just want to say, anyway, link in the description. You can find my channel too. There's a link and everything else. You can keep going. All right. So across the continents, psychic describes a pressure wave in the body just before sky events. They say this. And like I said, we'll go deeper on Thursday. Visions of two suns, not poetic ones, but violent ones. Mass silence across animals, followed by mass fleeings. Even though I think it was a lightning strike, but recently there were some people reported all these big ducks and birds just fell in everybody's yards. Now, I know this happens all the time because lightning do happen up there, and pretty much. And so you can contest that that's what it was. But sometimes it's worth looking into these things, and maybe it has a deeper pattern or something else. It's just something worth us looking into when we go there. They also said that the most chilling repeated dreams is a fire line in the sky, followed by water swallowing everything. So if you've had those type of dreams, and I'm not a dream interpreter, but I will say this, everywhere in history, from Sumerian texts all the way back, talks about the fire in the sky, and then the Great Deluge. We talked about that yesterday in part 1 on my channel, and all about this is Nibiru week. So we're going to go deep into that, and hopefully later during the week, I'll probably bring some guests too. But listen, the whole point I'm saying is that we all know the Great Flood. The floods is happening in every civilization. They all talked about it in some form or fashion. And so we can't, put that to the side as some type of anomaly. It's worth for us to say, maybe we look into it. Remember, there's something that we will do once we start going down that route. So there's something I want to tell you to look into. They say it's coming from the same direction. They say it's timed. They say it triggered memories before you were born. So it takes you back into that time. And then, of course, you think you're just ancient, but yet you're being pinched or pinged by a frequency that haven't announced, because we're all connected to the cosmos. And that's almost like it's you remember the movie Aliens? Resurrection or whatever. Y'all remember, it's supposed to have been Will Smith was gone now. Jeff, what's the name was Fox, or Vivica was playing in. She was the mother of the pilot or whatever. But remember when they had all these alien creatures down in this underground base? Well, all of a sudden they said something happened. All of the aliens woke up and they all just cheering, and they was like, why are they doing that? It's like they know something was coming. It's almost like they give us those hints in movies, right? And maybe that's the same thing, because we're connected to the Anunnaki and all of that stuff. Maybe that's what's happening. I'm just saying that. So why parts 3, 4, and the after show really exists? Let me tell you why, because this is why we built this whole series. Part 1 was just kind of the announcement, talking about Nibiru coming, or is it here? Part 2, which is tonight at 9, which is about 20 minutes, will be on my channel, is the silence surrounding the science on it. Part 3 on Wednesday, we're going to dive into this and how ancient memories are waking up and across these timelines. It's worth people going into this stuff, right? And then, of course, part 4 on Thursday, we're going to show you. We're going to talk about why those who survive aren't just prepared physically, but they're vibrating at the right frequency. And you might want to know what frequency that you're vibrating on. And we'll talk about the psychic connection of all of that on Thursday. And then when that ends, we're going to go off air. Like I said, we're going to go into the uncensored part. So because the next level, and let me say this, why we do this is that we can't just say things like that out loud. And Nibiru is a topic that people have been shut down for. People, I just talked to you about the couple of times. We're going to talk about a few people that came out with the facts. And they out, they sleep. And the whole point of this is because there's something more. Now, my belief, or not belief, I can tend to say that, once again, the people that are in control, people that are guiding the obedient system, I call it, they don't want this to happen. See, they don't want a global reset, because you got to remember, every time Nibiru comes, it's a reset. Now, I'm not going to tie it into we coming out of the Piscean age and all of a sudden now we're in the Aquarian age the truth bearing age and all of this stuff and the shifts of coming. But just remember, in Zechariah Ascension, the 12th planet, the books, this is a 3,600 cycle. And so when we thinking about how long we've been around, 3,600 years, come on. But then I'm a believer that we've been here and come back. We've been here before. So maybe I leave a note in a bottle somewhere for when I come back, I'm more prepared. Anything's possible. Well, we're not just playing around here. Listen, because the next level we can't say here is how psychic memory maps to the real world and escape the plans, how dreams match those dumb locations, and how Dr. Harrison's Unalive wasn't about math, it was about the message. And like I said, we're going to go deep into that in him. Now, we're going to talk about the patterns in psychic data when we do this on coming up, how governments use remote viewers to track Nibiru's path. We talked about remote viewing. If you go on my personal channel, I talk about remote viewing. In fact, there were some videos, I won't say it is, you have to go search, that I actually gave a lot of people some information to do remote viewing. In fact, one of the things that you have to say, let me reach for it. I keep this affirmation with me at all times. I got copies of it laminated because when I go into my meditative state, when you want to start going into the remote viewing area, you say, I am more than my physical body. I'm more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. Therefore, in this exercise, I deeply desire to expand, experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use greater energies and energy systems as beneficial and constructive to me and those who follow me. And during this exercise, I deeply desire help, incorporation, assistance, and understanding from those individuals whose wisdom deployment experience is equal and greater than my own. And I ask the guidance and protection from influence or any other source that may provide me with less than what I desire. And I protect myself and such and such. And I go through this all the time. And when I close my eyes and I go into my focus, this is the Monroe Institute. And like I said, I have given plenty of people, to try to do it so we can send messages to each other. I even put the audio stuff where you can get it, but I took it all down. So I'm letting you know, but we do have when we in my private groups on a Patreon, we do talk about this stuff. I do give them access to stuff like that because we try to see what we can do. Some days we want to send messages to each other. So it's worth trying, in all of this. And we do that offline. All right. So another part of this is because, again, that we talk about the power, the patterns and the coded downloads that some of you are already receiving. We're not just talking about survival. We're talking about what was built to remember this timeline. And and what I want you to understand, what if you fear or whatever you think you fear, and it's not paranormal, but it's ancestral instructions. And I don't think a lot of people think how deep that could be, that sometimes we're getting these things and it's shaking us up a little bit because we're fear. But what if it's your ancestors sending instructions? Because they do. Why not? We're all being watched and covered and blessed. And if you do ask, and I heard at some point that all of us have a guardian angels or something that is guiding or is here to protect us, And now, one note though, it's going to do what you say. So if you start doing that puffy stuff, it's going to go that route with you. So it ain't going to be like, no, you can't go to Puffy's party. I don't know why I said that. That was bad. It ain't got nothing to do with Puffy. We're talking about Nibiru. And I'm sure he can care less, even though he dresses in red. I know, it's bad. But listen, what if you were born for this broadcast to receive it? And this broadcast is your activation signal. See, this is what we're talking about here all this week. This is why we're doing a Nibiru series. This is why in about 15 minutes at 9 p.m. we'll be on my channel, and we're going to go to part 2 from yesterday because it's worth noting in all of this. And I welcome each and every one of you to hop on over there. As soon as we get off from here, subscribe, hop over to my channel, and boom, at 9 o'clock, we're going to hit the button. And so I'm going to get ready to close this segment out. So to give you time, give me some water, whatever, put the kids to bed, because, what we talk about is not PG on my channel. We just can't go that route. And PG not here either. So either which way. But, and the other question, what happens when everything you've been feeling lines up with everything we're about to show and talk about all this week? And then you're going to say to yourself, I'm not crazy, because you're not crazy, because you're not crazy. You get what I'm saying? You're not crazy. And so all of this stuff comes together so that we can do this. So what I want to say for you so that you understand is that it's already begun. And the ones who feel it already know that they're not crazy, like I just said, and that they're just early. And there's nothing wrong with being early on what are we talking about from here. In fact, it's nothing wrong with being what I call luminous. All right. That is the brand, our trademark. And a lot of people are like, well, you know, Roderick, he has the owl and it's this. Let me tell you something. It's all about symbolism. It's all about those things. And when you see this owl that I wear, like here on my hat, or I wear it, and this luminous is more than a symbol. It's a bond. It marks the ones who sees in the dark, who hears what other ignores, who follows the truth, even when it's hidden. You don't wear this for fashion. You wear it because you remember who you are. You are initiated. You're watched by none, but you are watching all. Your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. And this is what and it supports the channel too. So you can do that. We have it if you want. These are just $45. Comes with the chain. You can cash out. If you cash out, put your name and telephone number in there, and I'm going to call you personally, and so I can get your address. But we can talk. We can really talk. I'm going to call you from my personal cell phone and all of that. So that is if you use the cash out. But you can go to the website. There's a link in the description. Truth versus Authority, whatever. And buy it. But again, if you may have something you want to share or something you want to say or just whatever, or we can meet, personally and all of this stuff. So again, at 9 p.m., we're going to continue this. Then we're going to continue it Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to open it up and continue down the path. So once again, we did this yesterday on my channel, and you can go look it up. This is going to be at 9 p.m. on my channel in a few minutes. We're going to go over there in 14 minutes. And then Thursday, we're going to go tomorrow we'll do part 3. On Wednesday, the earth will shake, and we're going to go deeper into Nibiru. And then Thursday, we're going to do the psychic window. And then after 8 o'clock show Thursday, we're going to go into the uncensored, and we're going to tell you some gory details and things that they took this dude out. And it's just sad enough that they did. But anyway, this is my channel, Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. Hopefully all of you can come over in a few minutes and we can talk about it, but you might have something else to do. You can just search my name in YouTube, find it. And I'm there on YouTube and pretty much, and of course I have my own channel there. But you are welcome to also be part of our Patreon at Truth versus Authority, and you'll get a lot of other stuff that we do there and pretty much there. I hope that you found value in the show tonight. And know that this is where we're going to be doing these things, and we're going to really take this thing to another level as we continue down the pipeline of what we're doing. And yeah, we're live, I'm always live. So we're doing it, but I'm only here on Tuesday nights and everything else. But we talk about a lot of stuff. If you go to my channel, you're going to see a lot of stuff about the lizard people and stuff too. And so therefore I just want to warn you that, we talk about those, shapeshifters and all of that stuff too. But again, this is real. This is the warning is out there. It's time for us to really take things to another level and really kick some butt on what we're doing. To my haters, if you hate me and you don't even know me, I can still love you and still, I may not want to meet you, but I still love you. And to the rest of you, I love you. I really do. I think love is the most powerful thing that we have to do. And I've said it before, this is water, and knowledge is water. And a lot of you are walking around with water. When you come to my channels or you come to Billy's channel, all these other channels, a lot of you have books, and I try to give you stuff that you're going to increase your curiosity to go look for, because it's better for you to find it than me just slapping something out there to you. But the water is there, and a lot of people are walking around thirsty. They're walking around dying of thirst from knowledge. Sometimes we want to call them sleep or whatever. I just want you to know you got the water too. We all got the water, but the magic to this is it only works unless you drink it. Not the Kool-Aid, baby. We're talking about the water. Drink the water, and therefore you will get some stuff out. Also, if you hadn't, You know, we talked about the Book of Sacred Secrets. If you haven't got your copy of this, you talking hidden knowledge, you know, man, you better go get you some. It's a downloadable PDF. The link is in the description of the video. A lot of you talk about it, and this is stuff that they don't put out here. So me and a group, we all got together and, you know, and just put this information together. But it's called the Book of Sacred Secrets. It's on my website. There's a link in the description of this video. With that being said, we are 10 minutes out for 9 p.m. And so let me put it on the screen, and we're going to go over there, and I'll meet y'all over there. Once again, right here, Roderick Martin. And hopefully y'all enjoyed the show. And I will see you when we get over there in a few minutes. And let's do it. And again, I love each and every one of you. And I will see you on the other side. All right. Peace out, y'all. And my other channel in 10 minutes.
Welcome, Truth Seeker. You are no longer asleep. I am Luminous, the Owl of Truth. The world is blind, but you have opened your eyes. Welcome to the fire of esoteric knowledge and truth. You are now one of the awakened. You are now luminous. Welcome to the rebellion. Welcome to truth versus authority.